Om Shanti. This is the Avyakt Murli of 21st of December 1978, and the title is The Form, Fortune, and Time of the Souls Who Remain Very Close Throughout the Whole Kalpa. Today, at Amrit Vela, while seeing and celebrating a sweet meeting with the children in all four directions, Bap and Dada were discussing one thing in particular. What were they discussing? They were looking at the form of the divine birth of every child and also at their form at the moment of their birth. The present confluence aged life and the future life of the children are based on the time and form of their birth. What did Baba see as their form? From the moment they were born, they had a sparkle of power, of Shakti, that is, having previously been separated, Viyoga, they received the fortune of being connected, Yoga, once again. From the moment they came, they had the form of being thirsty and eager for knowledge, of serving, and also the form of super sensuous joy. What fortune came with that? That of being a bestower of blessings, of having courage and enthusiasm, and of moving along on the basis of receiving cooperation from the moment of birth. In the same way, Baba also saw how much time it took you to have faith, whether your intellect had faith within a second, whether you developed faith after taking the 7 days course, or whether you took longer than that, whether your intellect had faith after battling between faith and doubt, or whether you are still battling as you move along. The first numbers are those who have faith in a second. This means to be amongst those who are taken beyond with just a glance. The second number are those who are taken beyond by elevated words. The third number are those who die alive after finding out the value of the businessman's bargain. The fourth number are those who, on the basis of their attainments, love, connections, and transformation, have faith one moment and doubt in the next. Today, Bap and Dada were looking at and discussing all these aspects of you children as to whether your dying alive is one of being constantly free from obstacles, of being a constantly intense effort maker, of being a constant embodiment of experience through your constantly intense effort maker, of being a constant embodiment of experience through your attainments, whether you are leading a life of making effort or whether you are leading a life of where you are constantly going up and down based on your form, fortune, and time. Do you know the form, fortune, and time of the souls who remain close and multi-million times fortunate every kalpa? Such souls came to Baba and belonged to him within a second on the basis of the touchings they received of their fortune in the previous kalpa. It wasn't that they felt that they had to become a Brahmin, but rather that they were Brahmins previously and that they are that now. They would have a feeling of belonging within a second. The moment they saw Baba, they recognized him. What would be the form and fortune of those who came the moment that they saw Baba? What would be the form of those who came at the beginning? From the moment of their birth, they received a right to all the property. Similarly, they received the right to experience each and every form. Just as a whole tree is latent in the seed, so too the foremost souls, the souls who are close to the Father, the souls who came during the first period, would experience the treasure of all forms of attainments. They would experience those treasures to be their original form, to experience happiness and not peace, or to experience peace and not happiness or power, is not the experience of those who came in the first period. They claim a right to their inheritance within a second. This is their time and form. What would be their fortune? They would not have the slightest thought as to whether their intellect already has faith or whether they still have to develop faith. But from the moment of birth, they would have the fortune of their intellect having natural faith. They would not go into the details of how or in this way or that way, but would naturally have faith. They would have no questions as to how to develop faith. Other souls too would be able to see a very clear line of unbroken faith throughout their whole life. The line of their fortune of faith would be constant and not broken every now and then. The tilak of victory, their consciousness, would be constantly visible on their forehead, just as the future form of a Brahmin is portrayed in the picture of Sri Krishna is of one who has a crown from the moment of birth. So too, from the moment of birth, those who have this fortune would have the crown of responsibility of service and would constantly be playing with the jewels of knowledge. Such souls would be leading a life in which they constantly swing in the swings of remembrance and happiness. In every act they perform, they would constantly experience the hand of blessing over them. In every activity, throughout the whole day, they would experience the company and the closeness in all relationships, and also experience the company in the corporeal form. They would be easy and natural yogis. These things would indicate those who have the foremost form, fortune and time. Now check yourself. How many would have the first number form, fortune, and time? 8 or 108? Which number do each of you have? You can still change it even now. Those of you who have come last can go fast. Those of you who have come last can go fast. There is still room for transformation. The too late board has not yet put up. Incognito effort makers, those effort makers with single-minded determination, can take this high jump. Therefore, take a chance in the lottery of making effort to make your fortune the foremost fortune, and you might win it. Do you understand what you have to do? This is your last chance. Therefore, because Bap Dada is still giving everyone a chance, let the past be the past and elevate your future. Don't complain afterwards and say that you could have done it, but didn't do it because you didn't have time or because the circumstances weren't right. Even now, the hand of mercy of the merciful Father is over everyone. Therefore, have mercy on yourself. Acha? To those who constantly experience the hand of blessings on the self, to those who constantly have mercy on the self and others, to those who have a constant and unbroken line of faith in the intellect and who constantly have a tilak of victory, to those who have had a crown from their moment of birth, to the children who are constantly seated on the heart throne, Bap Dada's love, remembrance, and namaste. Bap Dada meeting groups. 1. The stage of being beyond by remaining aware of your original land and original form. Do you remember your stage of your original form and your original land? When you remain aware of the incorporeal world and your incorporeal form, then, although you have to live in this old world, you are able to become full of love and completely detached. You do not belong to this world anyway. You are the residents of the incorporeal world who have incarnated here for the sake of service. What do incarnations remember all the time? They always remember the task for which they incarnated. Incarnations incarnate to establish a religion. So since all of you are also incarnations who have incarnated to do a task, what do you always remember? This task of establishing a religion. You are righteous souls who are constantly engaged in the task of establishing a religion. And so you are incarnations of power, Shakti. Are you not? All of you Shaktis are an incarnation. If you remember just this small thing, you can remain beyond. If you don't consider yourself to be an incarnation, but a householder, then the cart of your life would remain stuck in the mud. A householder means the stage of being burdened, whereas an incarnation is one who is completely light. A householder is constantly trapped, whereas an incarnation is always free. If you become caught up in the cycle of being sometimes a householder and sometimes an incarnation, then you would only sometimes and not all the time experience this confluence aged elevated life to be a life filled with wonderful happiness. You won't receive days of such happiness again. Each and every day of the confluence age is extremely lovely. So, how are you spending these lovely days of the confluence age? Do you spend them in an invaluable way or only in an ordinary way? Do you know the value of each second? The elevated reward of 5,000 years is based on just these few moments of the confluence age, and so you should use these invaluable moments in an invaluable way. To use them in an ordinary way means to put the value of stones on these jewels. If you are wasting your time, then you are treating the jewels as stones. To value time means to value yourself. You do, of course, recognize the time, but to behave as an embodiment of recognition is a matter you have to pay attention to. What can you not achieve in just 1 second of the confluence age? Within a second, you can leave here and tour everywhere in all four lands, pilgrimage of the path of bhakti, and then return. Have you experienced this? You are not wasting your time in trivial matters, are you? Now take a high jump. The time of moving along slowly has now passed. Childhood is the time of mischievous behavior. The mischief of childhood can also be enjoyable. But would it seem right to be mischievous after you have grown up? Your childhood has gone by and you have now reached your stage of retirement. This mischief no longer seems right. During your stage of retirement, you have only one task left, and that is to remember the Father and do service. Even when you sleep, it is in remembrance and while doing service. This is known as the stage of retirement. If even now you still have any particular aspects or sanskars of childhood, then finish them now. To say that you have a certain bondage, or ask what you should do, or how you should do it, is all like childish mischief. Are these days now over? Are you so unaware of yourself as a Trikaldarshi soul that you have to ask what you can do? Don't waste any more time in this. It should happen like this, but I want to do it, but etc. are all childish games that should now have ended. Now celebrate this completion ceremony. Acha? 1. To consider yourself to be a trustee is to experience a powerful stage. Do all of you constantly move along while considering yourselves to be trustees? A trustee is one who is constantly light, whereas a householder is one who is constantly carrying a burden. If you are a householder, you would be in the stage of descent, whereas if you are a trustee, you would be in the stage of ascent. Trustees are constantly carefree emperors and beyond any type of worry. They have the spiritual intoxication of being a master almighty authority. No matter what the circumstances are, they would always remain light and detached and not even slightly influenced by the atmosphere. When you consider yourself to be a householder, the questions of why and what, etc. arise. When you consider yourself to be a trustee, you are able to apply a full stop. To put a full stop means to experience a powerful stage. 2. In order to create a stage like that of Angad, the unshakable one, make the foundation of your faith strong. Are all of you as unshakable as angel? Are you able to remain unshakable in every type of Maya's upheaval? None of Maya's attacks should be able to shake your stage. What causes your stage to shake? Your stage shakes when your foundation of faith is not strong. When you have the faith that the time is beneficial and that there is benefit in every situation, then no matter how many storms come, they will not be able to shake you. Now, make the foundation of your faith strong by watering it with intense effort, and you will constantly remain as unshakable as Angad. Then you will not consider any of Maya's attacks to be an attack. The time of fluctuation has now passed. If you are still continuing to shake even now, then you would also shake at the time of the final paper and fail for birth after birth. Therefore, strengthen the foundation of your sanskars of awareness. Constantly remember that the memorial of Angad is your memorial, and you will receive strength. 4. A constant stage to make your courage and enthusiasm constant. Are your courage and enthusiasm constantly steady? When your stage is steady, your courage and enthusiasm will also always be steady. They will not fluctuate. What is the reason for sometimes having too much and sometimes too little courage and enthusiasm? It is because you don't constantly experience having all attainments. Nowadays, temporary attainments brings about courage and enthusiasm, whereas this attainment of everything is for all time. And so, keep a list of all your attainments in front of you at all times. Since your attainment is unshakable and steady, your courage and enthusiasm should also be likewise. Who would have mischievous sanskars of allowing the mind to become mischievous, or allowing their stage to fluctuate instead of keeping it steady? You are the oldest and most experienced souls in the whole world, so why should there be any mischief? By constantly keeping Baba and your attainments in front of you, you will become unshakable and steady, and all obstacles will end. You have had the tilak of victory from your moment of birth. Simply pay attention that it never rubs off. You should constantly have new courage, new enthusiasm, and new plans. Create such instruments for service through which there will be great glorification and less expense. There is still space for a lot of service to be done, and so fill this space. Let there be some specialty and newness in every program. Create plans to give everyone an experience. Acha, blessing. May your treasure store of love overflow and give everyone the sustenance of love and power. The more you distribute the Father's love to everyone, the more your treasure store of love will overflow with love, and you will experience love being showered on you at every moment. Give love in one step and receive love again and again. At present, everyone needs love or power. So give the Father's love to some and His power to others. Slogan: those who remain beyond the devishness of Maya are very much loved by the Father. Om Shanti.